Just been to Thailand, so yeah, she's right. Just been to Thailand. But I made my character Gina have a wonderful time in Thailand, and she figures out, it's lovely to travel, but it's better if they pay you for it. Oh, so that leads us to one of the big topics again, Carillon chase. Okay, so Gina thinks, oh wow, I got hired as an intern for the summer. They're going to send me to London or Paris or Ireland, but it doesn't really work out like that. Let me read you just a little excerpt. So she's talking to the lady that runs the travel company. You're flying me to Springfield, Illinois. Oh no, it'll be a road trip. But if you wanted to send me to Honolulu, another year, we have capital crossings all sketched out. Did I mention that different didn't mean better? What's in Springfield besides the home of the Simpsons? Oh, Gina, the lady said, you have such a great sense of humor. Humor, nothing. I was hoping that she'd see that her whole idea was ridiculous. Springfield would be a fabulous destination, she said. Phoenix, Springfield is the route I would choose myself if I had time to do any writing. Springfield is important because, well, Abraham Lincoln is important. He lived there a long time. There's a whole museum there. A team from Disney designed it, so they say it's like visiting Disneyland. Doesn't that sound terrific? Terrific. The museum welcomes an average of 3,000 visitors a year. Do you know how good that is for a presidential museum? I had no idea. I'd never visited one, and I wasn't good with numbers. Well, the bottom line is that everyone is touring Springfield, but no one is writing about it. You can. Oh boy, I thought, the Civil War, a dead president, I could already picture the scenario. I would cover Lincoln's house and museum in a single morning and have all afternoon to visit cornfields. Lots of cornfields. Lots. Too many. The only teeny tiny benefit that I could possibly think of was that I really did like popcorn. Anyway, that gives you an idea how the book starts. She's not happy about going to Springfield, but then she finds out that there's going to be a Carillon Festival. And her sister says, no. Carillon Festival, Carillon, bell tower. So she finds out a little bit more information, and she learns that there's going to be this festival, and there's going to be a very famous star performer from the Netherlands. She looks him up online, she meets him online, and he's hot. And he's blonde. And he plays very, very fast. Now I have to tell you that I wrote this without knowing Carlo.
I would say it's not
Carlo. Anyway, she gets a lot more excited about going to Springfield. Well, I'm going to skip ahead and tell you a little bit about what happens when she gets here. She goes to one of the concerts, and she's actually up in the tower with Blinder when he's playing. But things are kind of tough. So, neither Blinder's reputation nor his previous repertoire prepared me for the dizzying speed with which he started the third movement of his Carillon concerto. He played so fast my ear couldn't take in the notes. It was as if he gathered some new energy sources which he transferred to the bells. He played to the left, and he played to the right, sometimes with his feet going in opposite directions from his hands. True to his nickname, Blinder became the master butterfly. I imagined hundreds of swallowtails hovering around a meadow at the same time. I wanted to stand up and dance in circles, except that I never, ever danced. As Blinder continued, his brow creased in intense concentration. His torso countered the bench as he reached for those foot pedals and stretched his hand. That's when I noticed the crack in the bench's back left leg. What might have started as a hairline split was now clearly visible. It stretched a couple of inches long. I couldn't hear the music anymore because I was focused on the crack that grew another inch and another. I was horrified. What were we going to do? We needed a solution, but what would we do mid-concert? What was the worst case scenario? Well, for that, my friends, if you don't already know, you'll have to go to Carillon Chase and find out all about it. But, of course, you don't leave your characters with a happy ending. You send them on a new adventure. So that's what I had to do with Gina. So for her next adventure, I thought it'd be great to send her to Italy. All right, a whole quarter Italian, but it still counts. So anyway, in the next book, which I thought I would have for today, but the artwork isn't quite done yet. But in the next book, I sent her on a little bit different excursion. So first, I should ask you, chi parla italiano? Okay. Who uses olive oil every week? Okay, all right, so good. So you'll be glad to know that this next book takes place in Orvieto, which is a little town close to Rome, and it's called Olive Lovers. And there's a lot of information about olive oil. But of course, you don't make it easy for people. You have to make them struggle, or why are we good? It wouldn't be any fun. So even though I don't have the right cover, this was just a fake. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen to Gina in her new adventure. Okay, only 2 people in the room know anything about this, so it's really fun. So let's see. I'm going to start right where. As we bumped along, all I could think of was how mad I was at my sister. If you're tired enough, you'll sleep on the plane, she said. She lied. Instead, I squirmed for 5 hours. Then I gave up and watched Barbie for the 3rd time in Italian. Even though I knew the whole plot, the only words I caught were the ones that she repeated over and over and over. Io, I. I had other problems. I was prepared for the lines of the passport control, the airport bathroom, and the ATMs. I was smart enough to avoid the train ticket by buying it ahead of time. But after I wheeled my way through the crowd and reached the automatic gate leading down to the Leonardo Express that would take me all the way from the airport to the train station, that stupid, precious electronic barcode would not work. I stepped aside, rebooted my phone, and rejoined the airport internet network. When I attempted to get through the turnstile, the dreaded sign still read "error" in big red letters. I felt like turning around. But at that point, I was done. I'd traveled all the way from Tucson to Rome, and now I would be stuck at the airport for the rest of my Italian study abroad experience. Well, Gina exaggerates. She does get on the train, but her problems don't stop there. She meets an Italian couple, and they keep hassling her. Whoops, they hassle her on the next page. Okay. Where are you going all alone? Why aren't you traveling with a friend? I explained I was going to Orvieto to do a study abroad project, and she looked at me half-heartedly. Why wouldn't I study in Rome or Florence instead? They were bigger cities. They offered more options. I just wanted to study, I said, no distractions. But at that, the woman and her husband laughed. It was Italy. Of course there would be distractions. But in a little town such as Orvieto, I wouldn't find anything exciting to do. That's why they would never move away from Rome. Oh no, Rome, that was a city. I would find Orvieto too small and too boring. I tried to explain that I couldn't change my plans now, but they were adamant that I made the wrong choice. They said the only important thing about Orvieto was the church. I didn't have the heart to tell her I wasn't too interested in churches. But nevertheless, I almost missed the sign when we got to Orvieto. I just tumbled off the train. For a moment, I worried that Lucia hadn't come for me. Then, a 50-something with wild hair, a tight red tank top, and a black skirt hiked up to her thighs, waved both hands. "Gina from Tucson!" she shouted. "Come, I see you now!" Her thick Italian accent resonated through the platform, even though it was open air. She wrestled my carry-on from my hand as if she were stealing it, and she marched me outside the train station where 3 cars were honking at the once white Cinquecento that was double parked. Somehow, I wasn't surprised that the offending vehicle belonged to my supervisor, Lucia. Welcome to Orvieto, I thought. Benvenuta. That's how Olive Lover starts, but of course Gina is gonna have some problems. She has a small apartment that's suffocating, and she has a roommate that won't stop talking. So she goes out in town, she meets somebody that has a garden, so now she found a good place to study. But of course, that will lead to trouble. Now, since I already brought you guys to Italy, I'm sure you'd like to hear another song.